Good morning, everybody. Today's date is the 2nd of March, and the time has just gone 10 o'clock here in the UK. And it's a beautiful spring day for once that we've got. And it does very much feel like this week we're going to see signs of spring. And while Mercury's got another week of moving backwards, it is going to come out of the fog and into Aquarius for a little bit, but more of that later. So, like I say, this week feels like a bit of a turning point. Well, the beginning of a lot of turning points in March, particularly the end of March, which we'll come to in a couple of weeks' time. We have got the first aspect to deal with will be tomorrow, which is the 3rd. And that will be Venus square to Saturn. And when you get this aspect in transit, you have got the relationships in your life getting at cross purposes with each other with regards to commitment, with regards to seriousness. So how seriously do you take your relationships? How much responsibility do you take for the smooth running of your relationships in your life? Because this particular square asks us to think about those questions and what we are going to do to resolve some of the commitment issues that have been lurking around. So these don't have to necessarily be romantic relationships. This could be between a mother and child. They could be between brother and sister. They could be between friends. They could be between colleagues. But the issues are all going to be around those Saturnian ideas of responsibility, discipline, seriousness, routine. So where are you maybe failing on those counts? And I think because Venus is in Aries, it is likely to come out of selfish reasons rather than anything else, because Venus in Aries asks us to be selfish, which can be good sometimes. But when it comes up against Saturn in Capricorn, it's saying, whoa, hold on a minute, stop thinking about yourself just for a moment. And think about other people and what you need to do to make sure that they feel a part of the relationship, that they are getting listened to, that you are taking care of them, you have a level of responsibility towards them. So you might be asked to take on more responsibility in some relationships. So, well, if that is you looking after children, you might have to have extra responsibilities there. It could be for an aging parent. It could be, if it's to do with work, helping out colleagues, making sure that you have got the commitment there to your team and your workplace in general. So because it is a square again, it's like you're not going to be exactly happy about doing this because they encroach on your personal time, which is the Venus and Aries part of the equation. But it needs to be done and come into some kind of level of compromise, because squares are all about finding compromises and finding ways forward. If you are to be successful with these things, people can view squares quite negatively, and understandably so, because they can oftentimes be quite difficult, but they are not things that just are fixed in time. You can do something about them to make them better. Just because something isn't easy doesn't mean to say that it doesn't have value or that can't be worked upon to be made better. And sometimes when you do have squares, particularly in relationships, it can actually end up bringing out the best in you, because getting things all your own way and things being easy doesn't improve you as a human. It actually keeps things too much the same. And if you are having to be challenged by other people and by circumstance and everything else, it means that you can have the opportunity for growth and to smooth some of the rougher edges off yourself, to learn to be a better human and to be kinder to others and to learn how to compromise. So those are the challenges of the 3rd tomorrow. I think I spoke too soon with the weather. It's just started snowing again now. Which is obviously very Mercury and Pisces stuff. And I've been thinking about that a lot this week as I've been trying to travel around with my work. The surplus of water that we have had, particularly where I live, is definitely Mercury and Pisces in retrograde, trying to force us into staying put and not going out and not being able to get to where we need to be. So I am hoping with when Mercury dips back into Aquarius on Wednesday that we start to see things dry out a little bit, because things have definitely been on the soggy side. So you will have in 2 days, you have shifts in 2 of the personal planets into signs that are much drier. So you've got Mercury on the 4th, and straight after that you have got Venus going from Aries into Taurus. So for both, that will be much better. Mercury does not do well in Pisces. It's just gives everything a very woolly feel to it, and just makes, say it's like swimming. If you're trying to get somewhere, you start to just going through water, literally, in this weather, to try and get to where you need to be. Everything's sodden, everything's damp, you arrive damp and soggy. Communication is damp and soggy. So when it moves into a nice air sign like Aquarius, where it likes to be, even though it is still retrograde, it will certainly be an improvement. And one of the things I like about Mercury in Aquarius, it provides those flashes of inspiration. It's that I always think of it as being like the kind of mad scientist Mercury, those kind of aha moments that you get with, when you think of scientists getting their breakthroughs and the literal light bulb goes on above their heads. So if you've been struggling with this, watery realm that we've had in terms of our intellect and in terms of our passing on information, in terms of our travelling, you will definitely feel better once that has gone into the sign of Aquarius, where it is much more at home and in an element that it likes. So it might be that, like I say, you get those breakthroughs. You might not be able to see the end of it just yet, because obviously we've got the retrograde for another week until the 9th, but it will be the Mercury will still be in Aquarius all of that time. And when it does finally move forward around the 16th, it'll be direct by then, so the fog and the water will not seem as bad. And it obviously Mercury will be gathering speed by then, so it'll fly through the sign of Pisces, and then moving on to Aries. And like the other big shift this week is Venus moving into Taurus, and Venus in her own sign here, and very much the goddess of the spring, bringing her fecundity and pleasure and painting the earth with a green hue, as we will start to see the shoots of life coming, and the animals having their young out in the fields, out and about. You see the lambs and the calves on the hillsides. So it is a much needed change for all of us, and it is the chance for us to be able to enjoy some of Taurus's pleasures, which are very earthly pleasures. So good food, good company, having a bit of extravagance in your lives, just taking that time out to be able to enjoy a nice bath with some nice oil, or to buy yourself a bunch of flowers, or to go to the spa, or to go out with friends and have a nice meal. So if you do nothing else, maybe plan something for the weekend where you can enjoy the company of somebody special, particularly if you've had a rougher ride at the beginning of the week with that square, that Venus square Saturn. You can make up for things by the weekend by enjoying some of the Venus in Taurus pleasures in life. So so that's all we've got around for this week. Not really a great deal, but in terms of the numbers of aspects, but in terms of what they mean, they will certainly give an added quality of enjoyment and pleasure to us all, and to say some clearer thinking, if somewhat abstract thinking, that can come from Mercury being in Aquarius. So here's hoping that you all have a good week, and that we can start to see the spring emerging, and everything to be sort of drying out a little bit after all this rain. So yes, enjoy yourselves, and I shall speak to you next week.